I'm going to start now. Okay, so it's Sam, and I'm here on March 6th at now 2:40 p.m. talking about the full moon in Leo. And this full moon in Leo is where we are going to be challenged to delight, to share in our power. And that's the power that is deriving from Aquarius, which is the power of service to the community, things like that. It's in Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. The actual full moon is happening on March 7th. And this is also where we are, again, showing this harmonic tension between the signs of Aquarius, which is where we have the sun, and the sign of Leo, which is where we have the moon. So full moons bring out this, again, natural harmonic tension between the sun and moon, the sun where we have the power, and the moon where we have the reflection back, or the feeling of trying to integrate that power, right? Not just express it externally, but also integrate its opposite. And so in this case, it's the harmonic tension between our cultural, worldly mindset of Aquarius and Leo, which is our personal power, so that the things we serve are in alignment with our heart and our deeper, individual passions. So again, the ego is passionate and full of desire in Leo, but feels somewhat on its deathbed in Aquarius due to the nature of the Nakshatras that are present there. And this is actually because the Nakshatras in Leo that we're going to be talking about, the Phalgunas, are about passion, romance, marriage, sex. That's Purva Phalguni and Uttara Phalguni, particularly Purva Phalguni. It's the sex bed. It's the bed where we have the sex and create the life. The opposite, or the Bhadrapadas, which is where we have this, which is where we have the sun, Purva Bhadra and Uttara Bhadra, is also a bed, but it's a deathbed where the ego goes to die before emancipation. Because then the last nakshatra is Revati, which is where we need to let go. So it's a very powerful time, this section of the zodiac. And I'm also going to talk about the holy celebration, which is really about the spirit of spring and renewal, and even sort of like the feeling that we can survive and have just survived this sort of cold winter where spring and renewal is just around the corner. And maybe we can even survive death itself if we play our cards right. So please like, share, and subscribe. That's what I'm going to be talking about. And again, leave a comment. And if you're new to the channel, leave a comment, let me know that you're new. And, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell to get updated. And also on other social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, you can also find me there. So before we get started, I also wanted to let you know about the 2023 forecast, because we have a long way to go in 2020.
Get the 2023 Vedic astrology forecast for your zodiac sign or for all 12 zodiac signs. In it, I analyzed the 11 most important shifts we'll all be facing in 2023. I analyzed these based on your sign, that would be your Vedic rising sign. In January, we have the big retrograde cycle of Mercury. Then in the middle of January, Saturn makes a huge shift into Aquarius for more than 2 years. Then, by the time we hit the spring, Jupiter moves into Aries, and we also have eclipses in Aries and a lot more, including Jupiter-Rahu conjunction. In the summer, Mars in Leo, along with Venus and Mercury retrograde cycles, show some major transformations for us all. At the end of the year, the lunar nodes change signs and we have eclipses and a lot more. So again, learn about what all of this means for you in 2023, or get all 12 forecasts so you can know what this means for your loved ones as well.
So yeah, as I said, we have a long way to go here in 2023, and not just in this case, but throughout the year with the upcoming eclipses. You want to know what this means for you and your sign as well. So we're going to start though with this full moon in Leo, and as you can see in this diagram, we have Sun, Mercury, and Saturn are over here in Aquarius, right? And if you've been watching the last couple weeks, we actually watched about 2 weeks ago. We watched we watched the moon rise next to Venus and Jupiter after sunset. And then the moon rose up here, and then it went around all the way around, and then now it's over here, over in Leo. So we've also been watching Venus rising in the sky in the west, getting closer to Jupiter. So it's a very beautiful light show that we've been seeing, and that crescent moon that we watched rise a couple weeks ago has now gotten full, and it's coming up after sunset. Opposite sunset, the moon rises, and that's in the sign of Leo. So it's good to be oriented to the sky. And so the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn, like I said, are in Aquarius, which is the sign where we are of service to something larger, because our karmas have gone all the way around the zodiac through Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc., all the way around Sagittarius, Capricorn, the hard work of putting our teachings into practice. And then Aquarius, now the only thing left to do is to serve something higher, something transcendent, and align our individuality with something that's bigger than just our own personal pleasure and happiness. That's the big feature when these planets are in Aquarius. And then the last place is where we then let go of the world, where we let go of our self and even our collective self. That's what Pisces is, where we surrender it all and let it all go, because we've seen the nature of the world, the true nature of our identity, which is not just an individual, it's a collective identity. And now we even let go of that. So again, that's very deep. And it might be easy to say, well, that means that Aquarius is more evolved than Leo. These are the kinds of mistakes that students can tend to make, and astrologers as well. They tend to think that these proclamations are sort of judgments, and they're not. In fact, we have to integrate all of these lessons. It's not just a matter of, that Aquarius is better than Leo, because Leo is just where we're individually want to fulfill our desires, and Aquarius is where now we understand, no, we're very confused about these things. For example, many of the negative qualities or the difficult qualities of Aquarius have to do with things like, for example, peer pressure and doing things because the public likes us, or going along with the crowd and having our own individuality kind of subsumed in the collective, in the crowd. We're very much rewarded in society to just go along with what everybody else is saying, the collective, so that we can get along and everybody will like us, and it's the popular opinion. Again, this is the sort of difficult quality of Aquarius. And then when we do that, eventually that individual passion and desire to shine and to share our fire and our dharmic gifts with the world, which is Leo, gets subsumed. So this harmonic tension between sort of going along to get along and being rewarded when we serve something higher, which we do get rewarded when we go along with what everybody else thinks, can also be a detriment. It needs to be integrated with that clear identification of what you're passionate about, what you as an individual are willing to courageously serve and show up for, which is the powerful Leo nature, right? And it starts when we're kids. It's our whole life. We're raised in a family, and if it's the 11th house is all of the people around us, just sort of and what they think, and how much we're rewarded to just kind of go along with what everybody in the family wants, but yet we want to stick out and rebel if it's something we don't like. We need to express our passion, and it continues through life. We can see it, all through life. Even things like, for example, Aquarius is a big sign of things like politics, but not just politics like Republican, Democrat, or world politics, but even the politics of your workplace, right? The politics of the office, of whatever the sort of group and gathering of people is. So you get a gathering of people toward a common cause, which is Aquarius. That's the Aquarius theme. And whether you're serving that or whether you're competing and trying to rise above and sort of conquer and overwhelm the other people, which is also a difficult quality of Aquarius. Rather than being of service with others, you're sort of competing to sort of lead others. But again, this is when you then also start to get into the Leo part of it. So again, it's this sort of tension between the individual and the collective. And again, from the opposite point of view, you can have too much Leo and just be a sort of domineering king. And again, this one is easier to see because we're very used to seeing power exploited. But it's not necessarily that. And even in the story of Holy, it's the story of how the evil king tried to exploit the kingdom, Hiranyakishipu, and the young Prahlada remained innocent, even though he was, trying to be exploited and harmed. And so the story of Holy is how after, in the aftermath of that, his sister Holika came and, brought relief. And so we celebrate Holi at this time. And it's really about this, sort of victory of good over evil, of light over darkness, that similar theme. And it's celebrated with colors as well, where you'll see different colored powders are thrown on each other and whatnot. It's also, again, like this celebration of renewal, of spring just around the corner. We're only a couple of weeks before the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. And so we've just gone through this winter, right? Because the sun is over here in Aquarius, and this is like the full moon before the vernal equinox. Traditionally, this is that full moon before the vernal equinox. We have this celebration. And again, the thing about the full moons is they're very emotional. We're full of our emotions, right? Very emotionally full of these things. It's not just any old day. We have a lot of emotions about this time because that's what the full moon is. We're full of our emotions, and these emotions between these compromises and trade-offs. And anytime we get full moons, it also brings into account all types of relationships, not necessarily romantic ones, but it could be that as well. Maybe there's been quite a bit of challenges around compromising and relationship. Every time we hit a full moon, we hit a time to assess that and evaluate that. And again, however it's going to hit in your chart will be more specific. But the compromises and trade-offs that we make between ourselves, which is often where the sun is, and the moon, which is the reflection coming back, is also really quite big when we have any type of full moon. And so it could be a time when you're really evaluating and looking into certain, again, it does have to be romantic entanglements, but relationships, trade-offs, and again, particularly if you have planets in this axis of Aquarius and Leo, where maybe that's your first and seventh house, maybe you have Venus here or your seventh house ruler here or something like that, there's a lot of reflection about the compromises that you're willing to make in order to please the masses, let's say, to please people, and even to satisfy yourself in a larger context, and to for example, we can make a lot of relationship compromises because, or I should say, we're not willing to make certain relationship compromises because we have duties and responsibilities, even to the public. And something like our work and our contribution is more important at a given time than having to compromise with one person who is like asking us to put more time than we might want, or something like that. So you may be seeing a lot of these larger social questions coming that are even undermining or clarifying the compromises and agreements that you're willing to make. So again, these are big things, big themes that are happening. And again, as you can see, this harmonic tension between Aquarius and the worldly mindset of Leo and the personal power mindset. Now, again, we also have these nakshatras of Purva Bhadrapada and Purva Phalguni. You can see PBH and PPH. And this is that deathbed and whatnot shown by the Nakshatras. The Phalgunis in Leo are very much about the passion of life. Purva Phalguni is ruled by the god Bhagha, the god of delight. And it's also like sexual delight. And it can be the type of energy, in fact, it is when it's misused, where you have the sort of lazy king, literally like surrounded by concubines and feeding him grapes. And it's good to be the king. And it's good to be the king and just indulge and enjoy and expect and be entitled, feel entitled to get all the pleasure for yourself. Well, I'm the important one. Serve me, concubines, right? And again, that's a negative quality. That's the kind of laziness of the nakshatra Purva Phalguni, but it shows the potential of this nakshatra. The god, again, is Bhagha, who is the god of delight and joy, and very much also related to Kamadeva, who is like Cupid. But it's also where we can delight and joy, sharing the power of the kingdom with others, rather than keeping the joy and power for ourselves because, well, I deserve it. I'm obviously the powerful one here. So yeah, I deserve all the money, all the prestige. No, that's the bad king. The good king says, boy, I'm so blessed to have a kingdom, to have been born into this wealth and this beauty and this amazing world where there are these incredible teachers and teachings and dharma and beauty. And I'm so blessed. I just want to share it and share this joy and this blessing and this abundance with others. That's the highest function of this. And in that context, the sex bed, again, this is a metaphor, but is now creating progeny and children and a kingdom that is based on grace and, again, joy, and the worldly life that we then create will also be a product of that. The next nakshatra, by the way, Uttara Phalguni, is where we then make agreements, have contracts, including marriage. Purva Phalguni, this nakshatra of the full moon, is more about the desire and the passion, right? First, you got to find the hot babe and go, hey, she's cute. I think I want to get to know her. First, there has to be that attraction, that delight. After that, it's like, I want to make her my wife now, and I want to have the contract and formally do it. And then you set up that agreement. This is where Leo goes into Virgo, and then we set up good contracts and agreements. But then opposite that is Purva Bhadrapada. Now we've gone through the whole zodiac. Now we're here at the end after this worldly life that we're trying to live to make us happy. Now we've lived the worldly life through Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Capricorn. Now we're in Aquarius and we're about to go into Pisces. And these nakshatras, Purva Bhadra and Uttara Bhadra, are where Aquarius then goes into Pisces, where we've now lived the life and we've been through the world of desire, and then we need to leave desire, connect to something higher, something transcendent. And this is, again, where the ego, the worldly ego, is now on the deathbed. And it's literally like a deathbed. It's the end of the zodiac. After Purva Bhadra and Uttara Bhadra, there's only one nakshatra left, and that's Revati. And Revati is ruled by the shepherd, which is about, okay, now let go and let the shepherd guide you home. Let him take you home. You're dead. And literally, it's also dead. Deathbed. It's also what it means. But again, it's not the death of your soul, because your soul is eternal. It's the death of the ego and the false identity. And so it's very much about surrender. And this nakshatra of Purva Bhadra is that first lightning strike of awareness that says, oh my God, I've been sort of delusional my whole life. And I'm not this body. I'm not all of this stuff. And we get this shocking glimpse of authentic reality, true reality beyond this world. Then Uttara Bhadra is where we need to concentrate and really commit our energy to bringing that glimpse into a tangible, powerful form through meditation, practice. And then the last nakshatra of the zodiac itself is Revati, where we then trust that the shepherd God will then lead us home. So very powerful section of the sky here, where this these sort of the bed of procreation and life of Purva Phalguni, Uttara Phalguni, are opposite the deathbed where the ego goes to die in Purva Bhadra and Uttara Bhadra. And again, it's very interesting, the connection to holy and the story from Lord Vishnu from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the story of Vishnu avatars of Narasimha, who was the half man, half lion. He's the one who came and then rescued Prahlada from Hiranyakishipu, the evil king. Again, these are difficult names, but and it really has to do. You can even see how there's a connection to things like the equinox, because one of the conditions of the story here was that Hiranyakishipu couldn't be killed by man or woman, or I'm sorry, man or beast, day or night, indoors, outdoors. There was all these conditions that it was hardly that made it so you actually couldn't kill this guy. So what Narasimha had to do is come and then be like in between day and night, in and out. He was half man, half beast. And so this half is very much also related to the equinox, because the equinox is literally where we have the equal day and the equal night. And I find it very interesting that this celebration of Holi, which is deeply connected to the story of Narasimha, and that story itself of this Vishnu avatar of Narasimha, is really connected to this whole thing about sort of balance between this world and the other world. Again, day and night, indoors, outdoors, inner, outer, man, beast. And so it's a very interesting celebration. Again, it's one of renewal and color and passion in that regard. And so it's also very interesting connection to this time of year, where there's a sense of renewal coming. There's a sense that we've survived the cold winter and whatnot. We're in March now. And usually, this is when we have the full moon in Leo. And so that's when we celebrate this feeling, because the next one is going to be the new moon in Pisces. And then we're going to be almost in April. And then, it'll already be after the vernal equinox. And as you can see, just a few more things here. We still have this Venus-Jupiter in the sky for about another week or so. And then Mars is going to move into Gemini. I did a forecast on March that you want to check out as well. And the other thing that I wanted to let you know is that I have a daily, as you can see here, daily forecast hours of classes when you register. Here it says astrologytraininglab.com. What I'm going to be doing it right after I get off here, is these full moons and new moon cycles are really what govern your life. From every couple weeks, you're now going to be triggered. A couple weeks ago, the new moon in Aquarius started, and all the members of the Astrology Training Lab got my video on the next 30 days of the Aquarius cycle. Because if you are a Taurus person, this is really bringing a lot of 10th house energy around responsibility, duty, handling pressure. And now this full moon in Leo is bringing in contrast to that cycle. 4th house. If you're a Scorpio, the new moon that happened a couple weeks ago in Aquarius was in your 4th house, and the moon is in your 10th house, just the opposite. So this is a much deeper nuance. And you should really understand that all the time in your life, these 2-week to month-long cycles are happening all the time, irrespective of your dashas and all this other stuff that you're probably putting too much, all this other stuff that you probably think you understand better than you do. If you just really tune into these cycles, it's actually a lot more useful than trying to do complicated astrology on your chart that you really aren't qualified to do. Just to state it frankly, it's much better to focus on these cycles, because, like, for example, me as Gemini, the sun has been in my ninth house. So it's been a ninth house cycle about teaching and renewed inspiration, yada, yada, yada. Opposite that, this full moon is in my third house. Opposite that, which is now I need to implement it more, put it into practice more. And all of that's totally, bang on. So I would encourage people to really check out this astrology training lab, astrologytraininglab.com, where you can get these forecasts and really see for yourself. Again, when you do it, it's only 2 weeks, or I'm sorry, it's only 50 cents for a 2-week trial to check that out. And you get daily forecasts based on the Indian Panchanga. You also get these new and full moon forecasts for your sign and a lot more. So this is a very potent and rich time. And I hope you really benefited from this full moon in Leo forecast. And again, like I said, please share and like and subscribe to the channel. I have to put these things together and, all that. And it takes time, but I love to do it. But if you really do appreciate it, and the thousands of people who do, I would really appreciate if you shared it, liked the video and whatnot. And I thank you very much for your time.
For 50 cents, you can get a 2-week trial to the Astrology Training Lab. In this, you get daily forecasts from Sam Jeppy. These are based on the Indian Panchanga, the classical Indian timekeeping system. You also get a monthly calendar from Melissa Flores Davies, where you can plan your whole month and see all the shifts. You also get 8 hours of classes just for joining, new and full moon updates from me as well. Again, it's only 50 cents for a 2-week trial, then $39.95 for as long as you want to stay a member. Just go to astrologytraininglab.com to register. For a limited time, I'm offering 10 hours of masterclasses, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, Quantum Vedic Astrology, and Spiritual Astrology Masterclass. These are 3 great courses that will really help you a lot. Now, in case you don't know who I am, I taught the AstroVed certification course, Dattatreya Shiva Baba, in 2010. Ravi Shankar published my book in 2018. I've been around for decades. I've been teaching these great classes, and if you go to VedicAstrologyEssentials.com, you can get this 90% off discount of these 3 great classes, more than 10 hours, guaranteed value. You can check this out. These 3 classes will give you all the necessary tools to begin to learn Vedic astrology. Please find me on YouTube at Sam Jeppy, Vedic Astrology Teacher. On there since 2007, thousands of hours of classes. Also on Facebook at Astrology Teacher, tons of articles updated regularly, and I'm on Instagram at Vedic Astrology 108, ongoing updates and interaction.